Good morning, Kilbourne. This is your WKHS news for Friday, March 5th, 2021. I'm Kendall Timms.
And I'm Amaya Harris. Now that we're going back to school 5 days a week starting March 22nd, students and staff are going to have to adjust to this new routine.
Katie and Karina tell us how students and staff will prepare for going back 5 days a week.
Last week we got news that the Board of Education proposed the idea of students going back to school 5 days a week. We talked to WKHS students and teachers about how they will adjust with going back to the all-in schedule.
I think students are going to have a hard time just from having a day off or just from going online. They're going to have to come back to the reality of every day in school and just having to do their work like every day.
I think that students will struggle because of the homework load difference. Hopefully teachers don't give us like a lot of homework at first and we'll all be super tired.
If we were to go back to an all-in model, all 5 days a week with all the students, on the student side, I imagine it would be a big adjustment just because they've been so used to the every other day schedule, sometimes getting 4-day weekends and the like. For teachers, it would be a big adjustment because we basically, when we went hybrid, had to develop an entirely new way to plan lessons and plan units and things like that. And especially for English, it becomes difficult because we can't be there to give students the support that we need. So in that way, going back to every day would be really beneficial. But again, on the teacher side, readjusting to an everyday schedule for planning will be a challenge and it'll take a lot of time, but we're up for it. I think that all in all, having all the students back, as long as everybody is safe and careful and respectful of each other's health, then it would be a great thing to have happen.
The all-in schedule will begin on March 22nd. This has been Katie Buterbaugh and Karina Morales, WKHS News.
Our winter sports teams have all had a very successful season this year despite all the setbacks and changes. EJ and Tyler fill us in on how our winter sports teams finish out the season.
Despite COVID-19, many winter sports teams have had a somewhat successful season. The winter athletes highlighted reflected upon what led to their success.
I think the biggest key to success this year compared to other years is just our team chemistry. We play really well together. We've been playing together for a long time, since elementary school, middle school. So we just pick up on all of each other's tendencies. I think that's the biggest thing. It's our team chemistry. We know how each other play, and that's what's led to us being so successful.
All right, so we've been hitting practices early mornings. We got team breakfast. It's all about the teamwork, builds a good team chemistry, and that's kind of what led us to our success this season.
Something that we're going to take from this season to next season to continue our success, I think, is just we always talk about having like a championship attitude towards our teammates and towards our coaches and towards our opposing teams, and that's something we worked really hard on this year, and that I think definitely has improved, and that's something that we want to keep continuing into next year.
This year, something we started doing a little bit differently is we were able to keep up our equipment a lot more. So we were able to set up full spring floor, which was really nice, and our floor definitely improved this year opposed to last year. And we also were grinding in the weight room a lot, and unfortunately because of COVID, we had to practice a really long time before our first meet. So we were really ready and came out really peaking just at the beginning. So we're just trying to keep that up.
Congratulations to the teams on a record-setting season. Girls gymnastics won the OCC title and so did boys basketball. In addition, Lauren Scott, Ian Shupp, and Coach Souter all won OCC titles. This has been EJ Montgomery and Tyler Kane, WKHS News.
This Congress is the most diverse we've ever had. This is very significant seeing the past year we've all been through. Ava and Gunner talked to students, Ms. Glaros, and Congresswoman Joyce Beatty about this change.
The 116th Congress is proving to be the most diverse yet, regarding women, people of color, and other everyday people. This is good for representation, but some could argue that it's not enough.
Do you feel like the government is an accurate representation of the American population?
No, not at all, because I think if the government if it was an accurate representation, we wouldn't have to ask for stuff like welfare and a reasonable minimum wage and stuff like that.
Yes and no. I feel like it's getting better than the years before that, but I feel like there's more improvement to come along.
No, just because I feel like the federal government deals with more of their own world. They don't really focus on the people more than themselves.
We spoke to Kilbourne's own AP Gov teacher and IB instructor, Mrs. Glaros, to better understand the topic.
Diversity and representation in politics is important because in the area of political science, we know that it really does matter. We know that the perspective that people have and the life experiences that they have and the personal characteristics that they have will make a difference in terms of the kinds of policies that they support and the kinds of bills that they vote for. So government at least has started a long time ago, really, to remove the legal barriers that were in place that prevented women from voting and holding office or preventing people of color from voting and holding office. It's important to understand that for the vast majority of American history, most government officials fit into the category of being men, of being white, and of being wealthy. And it's because we had laws and procedures in place that really only allowed that group of people access to those kinds of decisions and policy making. And there's nothing wrong with being white, male, and wealthy, but if you only have a government run by people with those personal characteristics, then you will only have that perspective represented in government.
We reached out to Representative Joyce Beatty of Ohio's 3rd Congressional District for some insight. Diversity is important because our nation has always been known as a melting pot of cultures and people from all over the world. We are often defined as a nation of immigrants, and our motto of E Pluribus Unum reflects a fundamental belief that from many we are one. To achieve that unity, we need representatives from all communities to engage in democracy and ultimately ensure that our policies reflect and benefit all communities.
Not really from government, but just from kind of the private sector and in the nonprofit world, that you see a lot of organizations that believe that it's really important that we have diverse perspective in our government. And so they tend to support, they try to financially support candidates, like strong, good candidates who represent those different perspectives and support them in running for office. We've made a lot of gains, right? Women have made gains. Racial and ethnic minority groups have made a lot of gains in terms of their representation. And I think that a lot of Americans understand that it is really important to have multiple perspectives recognized in our legislative bodies and in our government.
The federal government, through the Constitution and our nation's laws, affirms that all Americans are created equal and have certain inalienable rights. While this has not always been the truth in practice, the government routinely amends its laws and policies to achieve a more perfect union. The government encourages these outcomes through its federal spending policies as well. By leveraging federal appropriations and tax policy, the government can help spur private sector investment in underserved communities and help unite citizens, the private and public sector, to achieve mutually beneficial goals. The Congresswoman's ultimate goal is to give citizens throughout Ohio's 3rd Congressional District a voice in our representative democracy, to achieve a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. This has been Gunnar Langhert and Ava Gander with your WKHS News.
This Player of the Week has broken a bunch of new records for our boys basketball team and was just named the OCC Player of the Year. Seth and Ethan give us our Player of the Week, Ian Chubb.
Ian Shupp is currently finishing out his 4th year on the varsity men's basketball team. He has put up some very impressive numbers during his high school career and is finishing it out strong, putting up 18 points per game. Ian and the other seniors just led the rest of the team to an OCC championship, and Ian stole a few records along the way. We caught up with Ian about his recent success on the court. How did it feel to win the OCCs for the first time in Kilbourne's history?
It definitely meant a lot. First time in school history, it's a pretty big deal. A lot of alumni reached out to us. They were really proud, so that meant a lot. And we're all just really happy for Coach Sauter especially.
How special was it for you to take the Kilbourne scoring record in your senior year?
It definitely meant a lot. I know that it's a pretty big deal. My parents are pretty proud of me. And just on top of the OCC championship, makes it a great season.
What has led to your recent success as a player and as a team?
I think we just play really well together. We're pretty unselfish. We all move the ball, and we're just all really confident in each other. I think it's a big part of this year's success.
How have you developed as a player throughout this season?
I've definitely tried to become more of a leader, vocally especially, whether it's in practice or in games. I just try to get guys going, help them out when they need, and yeah, pretty much just being a leader.
Who is someone that's inspired you and pushed you throughout this season?
Definitely my parents. My parents have been pretty into it this season. They love seeing all of our team success, and they've been a big part of it for sure.
What are your hopes for the rest of your postseason run?
I mean, definitely bringing the school for the first district championship. We're in the same bracket as Thomas, so we're actually on path to possibly meet them in the district championship, which would be pretty cool.
On behalf of the Kilbourne News team, congratulations to Ian and the rest of the boys basketball team on winning the OCCs for the first time in Kilbourne's history, and good luck on the rest of your postseason.
This has been your WKHS News.
Thanks for watching. Have a fun and safe weekend, and remember to stay healthy.
Team, that's not what I was going to say. Stay tuned, dude.
In gunning. I went to